Welcome to today's deep dive into a transformative shift shaking up Punjab's cultural and religious landscape. Punjab has witnessed a notable surge in conversions to Christianity in recent years, especially among Sikhs from marginalized communities. Officially, Christians were only about 1.26% of Punjab's population in 2011, around 350,000 people. But ground reports and surveys suggest the real numbers have swelled significantly. A recent study by Sikh scholar Dr. Ranbir Singh claims that over 3.5 lakh people in Punjab have embraced Christianity in just the last 1.5 to 2 years. This includes an estimated 1.5 lakh conversions in 2023 to 24 and 2 lakh in 2024-25. While such figures are debated, they align with visible trends. Small independent churches and prayer halls have mushroomed across villages, and virtually every village is said to have a handful of new Christian families. The growth is particularly striking in the Majha region, the Amritsar-Gurdaspur belt, and other border areas. In Tarn Taran district, the Christian population doubled from 6,137 in 2011 to 12,436 by 2021, a 102% increase in one decade. Gurdaspur district has seen the most dramatic rise. By one report, the number of Christians there grew by over 400,000 in 5 years, though this figure is based on unofficial survey data. Overall, some estimates, including church leaders, put Punjab's Christian share at anywhere from 5% up to 10 to 15% today. Many converts remain officially listed as Sikhs or Hindus to retain caste-based benefits, which makes the movement's size less visible in government records. This rapid rise is fueled almost entirely by Pentecostal and evangelical congregations led by local Punjabi pastors. Unlike the older established churches, these new ministries are informal, often operating out of renovated homes or rooftops in villages. Observers compare Punjab's situation to past trends in southern India. Christianity is growing in Punjab, mirroring what states like Tamil Nadu experienced in the 1980s and 1990s, with small churches springing up on the rooftops of many villages. By one tally, Punjab now has tens of thousands of pastors, with one estimate suggesting around 65,000, indicating the proliferation of indigenous church leaders across the state. Importantly, this phenomenon is not driven by outside missionaries alone. It is increasingly a homegrown wave of Punjabi Christians. A complex mix of social, economic, and spiritual factors is driving poorer Sikhs and Hindus toward Christianity. Chief among these is the quest for dignity and equality in the face of persistent caste discrimination. Although Sikhism ideologically rejects caste, in practice, rural Punjab retains deep caste divides. It is common to see a grandiose Jat Gurdwara towering over a dilapidated Dalit Gurdwara in the same village. Many villages have separate Gurdwaras for different caste groups, and lower caste Mazhabi Dalit Sikhs often face humiliation or even outright segregation in Sikh institutions. A Dalit community leader pointed out that in village Gurdwaras, upper caste people often call for social boycott of Dalits, and some Sikh factions still defy the Akal Takht's directives on caste equality. This entrenched casteism has left many Dalits feeling alienated within Sikhism. As one report summarized, tired of centuries of casteism and systemic oppression, many Dalits, especially Mazhabi Sikhs and Valmiki Hindus in Punjab's border belt, have started looking to Christianity in the hope of a dignified life. The church, by contrast, offers an image of equality and inclusion. Converts testify that within their new congregations, they are treated with respect that was lacking before. Daniel B. Das of the Church of North India explains that 95% of Punjabi Christians come from the same oppressed communities and share the same caste background, leaving no space for discrimination here. Indeed, many pastors in Punjab deliberately foster a casteless atmosphere. Everyone sits together, and surnames like Masi replace traditional caste surnames among congregants. A local Christian leader bluntly said, "They accuse us of alluring people with money when all people look for in the church is equality. It's the limitations of other religions, like the propagation of untouchability, that they don't want to address." In other words, many converts insist it is not material allurements, but social acceptance that drew them to the church. Other practical benefits reinforce the decision to convert. Education and social services provided by Christian organizations have strong appeal. Churches and related NGOs run schools, clinics, and relief programs in some areas. For example, a convent school in Gurdaspur district provides free or subsidized schooling, including buses and tuition, to hundreds of poor children, including non-Christians. One parent from a village proudly noted, "My kids study here for a paltry sum of Rs 200 to 300. I owe a lot of gratitude to the church. They really help people out." Many families see conversion as reciprocation for these services or as a way to ensure ongoing support for their children's education and healthcare. Free schooling, medical camps, and financial aid are commonly offered by the new churches to needy households as part of their ministry. These acts of charity build goodwill and often succeed in winning converts where the state welfare system or traditional religious institutions have fallen short. Healing and deliverance from addiction are another powerful draw. Punjab has been in the grip of a serious drug abuse crisis for years, particularly affecting its youth. The Pentecostal churches position themselves as places of healing, not just for illness, but for addiction and personal crises. Many converts are former alcohol or drug addicts who claim they found freedom through faith. A high-profile example is Pastor Ankur Narula, one of Punjab's leading evangelists. Narula was a drug addict on the verge of suicide when he says he surrendered to Jesus and turned his life around. He started with a tiny prayer group in 2008. Today, his Church of Signs and Wonders counts over 300,000 members, many of whom are youth in recovery and their families. Stories like his resonate in villages where nasha or drug abuse has devastated lives. Pastors frequently organize healing crusades where testimonies of cured addicts and healed illnesses are shared to inspire others. In altar call moments, worshippers are told that Jesus can break the bondage of drugs and evil influences. This message offers hope to families who have tried everything else to save loved ones. Indeed, faith-based de-addiction is emerging as a theme in these conversions. Entire groups of young men have reportedly given up narcotics after joining prayer meetings, bringing a noticeable change to local social dynamics such as less petty crime and more community sobriety. While anecdotal, such accounts contribute to the appeal of the new churches as agents of personal transformation. Finally, some converts are motivated by aspirations for a better life, abroad, or upward mobility. Punjabi society has a well-known foreign dream, the desire to go to Canada, the UK, or the US for economic opportunities. A segment of converts believe that adopting Christianity might ease this path, either through connections with Western church networks or even by claiming asylum as a religious minority. Reports note that promises of visas or foreign assistance have been used as a conversion hook. In some cases, missionaries hint that accepting Christ could open doors to emigrate. Though not a universal factor, this has planted the idea that converting might help desperate youth escape Punjab's unemployment and farming woes. Indeed, entire villages in Punjab have few young men left, as many have migrated. Those left behind often nurture the same dream. Conversion for them carries the allure of joining a global community that transcends India's borders. At the very least, the Punjabi Christian diaspora in countries like Canada and the US does send money and support back home, such as funding new churches or donating to converts, which can improve living standards locally. This tangible benefit, combined with the spiritual draw of the faith, makes conversion a compelling package for many. In summary, most converts cite one or more of these reasons for embracing Christianity: escape from caste prejudice, access to education and healthcare, relief from addictions or illnesses, a supportive community, and hope for a better future. These are often intertwined. For example, a poor Dalit family might initially attend a church for a promised healing or ration kit, but stay because they find dignity and fellowship there. As one analyst put it, marginalized groups suffer the consequences of rigid caste structures. The state and Sikh organizations did very little to uplift them. Tired of years of oppression and indifference, they have turned to the churches for emotional, social, and financial support. The conversions cannot be understood in isolation from this social context. What makes the current movement in Punjab distinct is that it is led by native Punjabi pastors, many of whom are themselves converts from Sikhism or Hinduism. These pastors often retain cultural markers of their old identity. For instance, several prominent pastors continue to wear turbans and keep long beards, looking outwardly Sikh even as they preach Christianity. This is a deliberate strategy to make Sikh audiences comfortable. At revival meetings, one will see turbaned men quoting the Bible in Punjabi and even using Sikh terminology or music. The Opindia India Today investigation noted that to make inroads among Sikhs, people wearing turbans are seen in those meetings so that ordinary Sikhs feel the preachers are no different from them. The churches also incorporate Punjabi culture. It's not unusual to hear Christian hymns set to the tune of Gida and Tape, traditional folk songs, or see a church building designed with architecture resembling a Gurdwara dome. This cultural adaptation helps present the new faith as not foreign, but Punjabi in spirit. Another striking aspect is the diverse backgrounds of these pastors. Many are educated or had secular careers before turning to full-time ministry. According to an India Today report, at least a dozen of the most famous pastors include former doctors, engineers, lawyers, police and government officials, business owners, and landlords. Some quit their jobs entirely, while others preach on Sundays off duty. For example, Gurnam Singh in Ajnala, a 53-year-old assistant sub-inspector in Punjab police, converted to Christianity in 1998. A Punjabi Sikh by birth, Gurnam says he turned to church after a personal crisis. My wife was unable to bear a child, and my family wanted me to abandon her. It was unacceptable to me. I moved to Amritsar, pastors prayed for us, and now we have 3 children. Grateful for what he sees as a miracle, Gurnam started a home-based church. He still wears his Sikh turban to work as a policeman by day, and in the evenings he preaches the Bible in his backyard to about 50 villagers. He insists he isn't converting people against their will. I only preach, he says, but the impact is evident as his neighbors increasingly attend his prayer gatherings. Harpreet Deol in Kapathala, a 42-year-old pastor, comes from a Jat Sikh family, an unusual background for conversion. Harpreet's father converted in 1988 under the influence of an Australian missionary, even though they were a relatively well-off Sikh family. Harpreet himself was not very religious initially, but after experiencing the respect his father got and witnessing Christian leaders work, he embraced the faith and took over Open Door Church, one of Punjab's oldest Pentecostal congregations. Today, he claims to have healed cancer patients through prayer and is constructing a large new church campus. Harpreet also founded the Pentecostal Church Prabandhak Committee to organize the growing network of Pentecostal pastors in Punjab, essentially creating a coordination body analogous to Sikh management committees, showing the movement's growing institutional cohesion. Ankur Yosef Narula in Jalandhar, perhaps the most well-known Punjabi pastor, was born Ankur in a Hindu Khatri family and converted to Christianity around 2007-2008. He is a recovered drug addict who says he found Christ at his lowest point when he was ill and contemplating suicide. Starting with just 3 members in 2008, his ministry exploded to 500 members by 2009, 13,000 by 2013, and as of 2023 claims over 300,000 members across Punjab and abroad. His church, the Church of Signs and Wonders, holds massive services with 100,000 attending on some Sundays, and he is constructing a sprawling 65-acre prayer center near Jalandhar, touted to become Asia's largest church when completed. Narula's services are characterized by ecstatic worship, speaking in tongues, and claims of miracle healings, which draw people seeking cures for everything from cancer to infertility. He remains a charismatic figurehead for many recent converts, so much so that many smaller pastors call him their spiritual mentor or father and emulate his style. It's worth noting Narula's success has also brought scrutiny. His ministry was raided by tax authorities for funds, and detractors accuse him of exploiting gullible followers. But his influence among believers remains strong. Prophet Bajinda Singh in Jalandhar, another hugely popular evangelist, is a turban-wearing ex-Sikh who calls himself a prophet of Jesus. He amassed over 3 million YouTube followers with videos of miracle crusades. In his gatherings, Bajinda performs dramatic exorcisms and faith healings, for instance, commanding paralyzed people to walk or blowing air on the sick to heal them. These spectacles attract thousands. Bajinda's rise exemplifies the charismatic Pentecostal boom in Punjab that even mainstream media took note of. However, Bajinda's story also has a dark side. He was recently convicted of rape in a high-profile case. Even after his conviction, many followers defended him, illustrating the almost cult-like devotion he inspired. His case has emboldened Sikh critics who say these pastors are unaccountable and dangerous. Bajinda's church continues under associates, but his star has dimmed due to the legal troubles. Gurnam Singh Shera in Gurdaspur, a medical doctor from a notable local family, shows the crossover from Sikh militancy to Christianity. His elder brother was a militant in the Khalistan movement, who later converted to Christianity in 2006. Gurnam and the rest of the family followed suit a year later, intrigued by the pastor who preached to his brother about new ways to achieve God. Now a preacher himself, Dr. Khera says, "I have seen miracles, some have happened through me, and he too keeps his hair and turban while leading church services. His presence has caused friction in his village. Local Sikh groups have complained about him evangelizing." He recounted that when his father died 3 years ago, the village's Sikh authorities refused to allow a convert's cremation at the public crematorium, forcing Gurnam to take his father's body to a Christian cemetery. Incidents like this highlight the social ostracism converts can face. Yet Gurnam Khera stood firm, telling objectors that he would only remove his turban if Indian law required it, not because some Sikh organization has objections. Such resolve has only made him more respected among local Christians. Manohar Singh in Amritsar, a 56-year-old former cloth trader, runs a ministry in a village near Amritsar. After losing a teenage daughter and seeing his son badly injured in an accident, Manohar fell into despair. He says, "A group of pastors came to my rescue and gave me mental peace in that turbulent time." He converted, and despite now having a smaller house, lesser resources, "I am at peace," he attests. Manohar still ties his turban and keeps his beard, explaining to anyone who asks that it's part of my culture and upbringing. Even Christian prophets wore the turbans of their respective cultures. His story is one of personal tragedy leading to faith, and he in turn provides counseling and community to others through his modest church. These are just a few illustrative cases. There are literally thousands of local pastors across Punjab now, from big names commanding stadium crowds to humble village preachers. Some run independent ministries, while others affiliate loosely in networks like Pastor Deal's PCPC. What unites them is a Pentecostal style of worship, exuberant singing, clapping, spontaneous prayer, testimonies of miracles, and faith-healing sessions. Typical services involve laying hands on the sick, casting out evil spirits, and inviting people to accept Jesus for deliverance. Many claim to cure illnesses that doctors could not. For villagers steeped in spiritual traditions of Daras and Babas, saint men who also claim miracles, this is a familiar pattern, except now the power is attributed to Jesus rather than a Sikh or Hindu holy man. In fact, commentators have noted that Punjab's charismatic Christian preachers are essentially competing with the existing subculture of Deras and Babas for followers. The promise of curing cancer or undoing death has long been part of various Punjabi cults. Now the pastors offer it in a new package. This partly explains their success in drawing crowds. Notably, most of these pastors and converts have not formally renounced their Sikh or Hindu identity on government records. As mentioned, many continue to use Singh Kaur names and appear Sikh outwardly. This is sometimes strategic. Pastors advise new believers not to officially change their religion or surnames so that they can continue receiving scheduled caste reservations and benefits that they would lose if listed as Christian. Under Indian law, Dalits who convert to Christianity or Islam are no longer eligible for certain affirmative action benefits that Dalit Sikhs and Hindus get. The result is a phenomenon of crypto-Christians, practicing Christians who are still counted as Sikhs or Hindus in official data. This likely means the census and voter rolls underestimate the size of the Christian community, which by church estimates could be in the millions in Punjab. It also means the social impact of the conversion movement is larger than one might assume from government statistics, since many villages have substantial Christian congregations, even if not reflected on paper. The rapid growth of Christianity in Punjab's rural Sikh heartland has alarmed Sikh religious authorities and organizations. In the past few years, several Sikh groups have launched campaigns to halt or reverse the conversions, framing them as a threat to the Sikh faith and Punjab's cultural identity. The Shiromani Gurdwara Parbandhak Committee, the apex body managing Sikh Gurdwaras, acknowledged the issue as early as 2021. Noting the rising rate of conversions, mostly Dalits opting for Christianity, the SGPC kicked off a special evangelical drive of its own. In September 2021, it rolled out the Gar Gar Andar Dharamsal program, literally a sacred shrine in every home. The SGPC dispatched 100 teams of Sikh preachers, about 700 preachers in total, to tour villages in Majha, Malwa, and Doaba regions. They stay in each village for a week, holding Diwans, religious meetings, where they read Gurbani, Sikh scriptures, teach Sikh history and the code of conduct, and distribute free Sikh religious literature. Essentially, they are trying to mimic the methods that Christian pastors use: door-to-door outreach, personal connection, and provision of services. SGPC officials have stressed that the same process by which Christian preachers are misleading Sikhs will now be used to save Sikhism. For instance, the SGPC teams also organize something akin to Sikh healing or prayer meetings and have considered more schools and clinics run by gurdwaras. Despite these efforts, SGPC leaders admit the problem persisted. An SGPC member, Paramjit Singh Raipur, cited concern that churches being set up in villages are getting funds from outside, and even cheekily noted the newly formed Shiromani Christian Parbandhak Committee, an organization of Punjabi churches, was copying our style and name. This indicates a bit of panic within the Sikh establishment as they see Christian groups organizing along similar lines. The Akal Takht Jathedar, chief priest of the highest Sikh temporal seat, has issued warnings about the trend. Giani Harpreet Singh, the acting Jathedar, alleged that Christian missionaries are running campaigns for forced conversions by luring the poor. In late 2022, he even appealed for a law against fraudulent conversions in Punjab, stating that missionaries funded by foreign forces are converting Sikhs and Hindus and urging the Sikh community to demand action. Punjab so far has no state anti-conversion law, unlike some other Indian states, and the Jathadar's call was supported by Hindu nationalist groups as well, though no law has materialized yet. The Jathadar's stance reflects the dominant Sikh narrative that at least some of these conversions are coerced or induced by monetary temptation. Sikh leaders often highlight practices of the pastors, such as miracle healing shows and distribution of charity, as unethical inducements targeting vulnerable folks. On the ground, however, not everyone agrees the conversions are forced. In response to the Jathedar, the head of a Dalit Sikh organization retorted that he refused to believe the conversions were forced, suggesting instead that Sikh authorities should introspect on why Dalits feel insecure and unequal in the Panth Sikh community. He pointed out the irony that both the Jathedar and the then SGPC president Bibi Jagir Kaur belonged to reserved lower caste categories themselves, yet hardly took any steps to ensure equality and dignity for lower caste Sikhs. This critique highlights that the Sikh establishment's failure to address internal caste issues is seen as a root cause, a point often raised by those defending the converts' choices. Apart from official channels, Sikh activist groups have mobilized at the grassroots. One notable campaign is by the Sikh Youth Federation Bhindranwala, which in 2024 launched a statewide awareness campaign about Christian conversions. Volunteers from this group traveled village to village, specifically meeting families who had converted to understand their reasons and dissuade others from following. We found some people were drawn by facilities, material help. Others were impressed by on-stage miraculous treatments, said Bhai Ranjit Singh, the Federation's president. The SYF's approach has been to expose what they call deceptive practices of pastors. They emphasize to villagers that purported miracle cures for cancer, paralysis, etc. are fake or exaggerated, and they encourage people not to abandon their ancestral faith for these promises. Notably, the SYF observed that it's not only Dalits converting. They discovered that even some Jat Sikhs, historically higher caste landowning Sikhs, are establishing churches and ministries now with mixed congregations of Dalits and others attending. This finding shocked many Sikh activists as it suggests the appeal of Pentecostal Christianity has cut across caste lines more than presumed. In response, the SYF Bhindranwale is intensifying efforts, including sending Sikh preachers to schools and religious programs, Gurmat Samagams, to reinforce Sikh teachings among youth. The involvement of a group named after Sant Jarnail Singh Bhindranwale, a radical Sikh figure, indicates a more hardline section of Sikhs is taking this as a call to arms, peaceful so far in terms of campaigning. In some cases, Sikh opposition to conversions has turned confrontational. There have been reports of local Gurdwara committees preventing Christian gatherings or even vandalism of new churches. A bishop in Amritsar noted that some churches have been vandalized in organized attacks, which he believes are attempts to intimidate converts. On the extreme end, an incident in May 2024 made news when a group of men, allegedly linked to a radical Sikh faction, attacked a Christian pastor with swords, reportedly to punish him for leaving Sikhism to follow Jesus. Such violence is not widespread, but it underscores the tension in some pockets. More commonly, there are social pressures. Converts might be socially boycotted or, as in Dr. Khera's case, denied use of common cremation grounds. Sikh authorities have also considered punitive measures like withholding Anand Karaj, Sikh marriage, or other rights for those who are effectively Christian, though enforcing such measures is difficult if people don't publicly change their religion. On a more positive note, there has also been dialogue. In late 2023, amid rising tempers, a joint delegation of Christian churches, including the Masihi Mahasabha, Catholic Church, Church of North India, etc., met with Sikh high priests to discuss the situation. The Christian leaders sought to allay Sikh concerns by stating that everyone has the right to choose religion. No one can be coerced, and that if anyone is truly forced or lured, those conversions wouldn't last anyway. They also tackled specific allegations regarding the dramatic healing shows. Bishop P.K. Samantaroy of Amritsar calmly said, "Anyone who believes in God must believe in the miraculous. Even Christ brought the dead back to life," defending the pastor's claims as a matter of faith. He rejected claims of massive foreign funding behind conversions, pointing out that all foreign funds are subject to government regulation and scrutiny under India's FCRA law. The government is aware of every penny that enters the country, so there is no truth to this claim, he said. This kind of dialogue indicates that moderate voices on both sides prefer addressing misconceptions and finding community solutions rather than letting the issue polarize communities further. However, the overall stance of influential Sikh leaders like Amrit Pal Singh of Waris Punjab Day has been very antagonistic. Amrit Pal Singh, a firebrand preacher who rose to prominence in 2022, advocating a return to Khalsa Sikh purity, made stopping conversions one of his missions. He held Khalsa Vaher marches through villages, essentially Sikh revival meetings, where he urged Sikhs to take Amrit, Sikh baptism, and shun Christian missionaries. Amrit Pal did not shy away from insulting Christian beliefs during his speeches. In October 2022, he sparked a controversy by reportedly mocking Jesus Christ, saying things like, "Jesus, who could not save himself from crucifixion, how will he save you?" and comparing the Christian story unfavorably to Sikh Gurus' martyrdom. Such remarks led to a 4-hour protest by the Punjab Christian movement in Jalandhar, with hundreds of Christians blocking a highway and demanding Amrit Pal's arrest for hurting religious sentiments. The Christian protesters warned they would not tolerate insults to Jesus and pressed the government to take action. Amrit Pal remained defiant, stating he had no fear of FIR and that he was merely calling out what he alleged were missionary deceits. It's worth noting that Amrit Pal Singh's campaign was cut short in early 2023 when he was arrested in a crackdown unrelated to conversions. But his rhetoric did galvanize some Sikh resistance while he was active. In summary, the Sikh community's response has been a mix of outreach and opposition, trying to win back hearts through Gurbani and socio-economic initiatives on one hand, and pressing for legal or social sanctions on the other. The underlying message from Sikh institutions is that they see this as a major Garwapsi, reconversion, challenge. The SGPC even likened it to the biggest evangelical push in Punjab since independence. Their damage control mindset is evident from an SGPC ex-president's comment. "We thought only some gullible people would fall into the trap and later realized it was fake. We were wrong. The chain is only getting longer. So now we're actively going out and telling people not to be misled by claims of curing cancer without medicine," said Bibi Jagir Kaur. Alongside, the RSS, a Hindu nationalist organization, has also jumped in, sending its workers under a Dharam Jagran program to persuade converts to return to their old faith. Interestingly, RSS volunteers reportedly told villagers, "If you converted of your own will, fine, but if you were allured or forced, then you should resume worship of the gods of your ancestors." This convergence of Sikh and Hindu nationalist efforts shows the political dimensions the issue has taken. Despite Sikhism and Hindutva being different ideologies, they share an interest in stemming the Christian rise. The growing population of Christian converts, many of them Dalits, is beginning to be felt in Punjab's politics. Dalits form about 32% of Punjab's population, the highest proportion for any Indian state, and the fact that a noticeable subset of them is now aligning with Christianity has made politicians sit up. In late 2021, Charanjit Singh Chani, a Dalit Sikh, became Chief Minister of Punjab, and he notably courted the Christian community. He attended several Christian events. In one gathering in his home constituency, Chani, along with State Congress Chief Navyot Sidhu, was seen on stage enthusiastically chanting Hallelujah, using the Christian expression of praise. This was widely circulated and criticized by opponents as pandering. Around the same time, a video surfaced purporting to show Chani getting baptized, which turned out to be false. But the very spread of that rumor indicated how closely his outreach to Christians was being watched. Chani defended himself by saying that all religions should be respected and that some Sikhs do convert out of desperation, majburi. Since then, politicians across party lines have kept the burgeoning Christian vote bank in mind. The Aam Aadmi Party, which took power in Punjab in 2022, has a minority wing called the Christian Front. An AAP leader, Jata, who heads this front, has been highlighting issues of the Christian community, like lack of quality education, to the government. The ruling party has also made symbolic gestures, for instance, including pastors in advisory committees, having ministers attend Christmas programs, and reportedly even using biblical phrases in speeches. Opposition parties, too, have not lagged behind. The Punjab Congress under Sidhu and later Amrit Singh's breakaway Punjab Lok Congress both made overtures to Christian groups during election season. We have seen political leaders visiting Pentecostal mega rallies, though sometimes with controversy. For example, former CM Chani and actor Sonu Sood once appeared at a Prophet Bajinda Singh event. After backlash, as it was essentially a proselytizing rally, they distanced themselves and left early. Nevertheless, the incident showed that politicians now consider the evangelical congregations as constituencies worth engaging, much like visiting a dera or gurdwara for support. The rhetorical shift is evident when a mainstream politician in Punjab publicly says hallelujah or praises Jesus, something unimaginable in previous decades. It reflects how the Christian convert community has become a swing group in some areas, especially Dalit-dominated constituencies in Majha and Doaba. Analysts have noted that Punjab's Dalit empowerment, having a Dalit CM for the first time, and the rise of churches are interlinked. Both are changing the old caste-based vote calculations. Even the BJP, traditionally weak in Punjab, has reportedly eyed these self-styled pastors as a way to gain a foothold among Dalit voters who are no longer loyal to Akali Dal or Congress. In one Indian Express report, BJP insiders hinted at reaching out to popular pastors to win the Christian community's support in border districts. This indicates that Christian Punjabi is now an emergent political identity that parties are trying to woo alongside Sikh Jats, Hindu Khatris, etc. On the diaspora front, the influence is both financial and inspirational. Punjab has a sizable diaspora of all religions, including a growing Punjabi Christian diaspora. Cities like Toronto and Vancouver in Canada and pockets in California and the UK have vibrant Punjabi Christian churches. These are often led by earlier waves of converts, many who converted in India in the 1970s, 1990s, and later emigrated. They have formed associations and WhatsApp networks that stay in touch with brethren in Punjab. Funding from abroad is a contentious topic. Sikh critics allege foreign evangelical organizations are pouring money into Punjab's conversions. It's true that charities linked to global ministries operate in India. One example cited was Gospel for Asia, which had its accounts scrutinized by Indian authorities for potential misuse of funds. However, pinpointing how much goes specifically to Punjab is difficult. What is clear is that diaspora Punjabis send remittances and donations to their home villages, and some of that is directed to church building or Christian programs. Churches being built in villages with funds from outside have been noted by the SGPC. For instance, if a few families in a village have Christian relatives in Punjab, Canada, those relatives might sponsor a local prayer hall's construction. Beyond money, diaspora pastors frequently visit Punjab for preaching tours, especially from North America. These events are often advertised as healing crusades or revival meetings. Punjabi Christians abroad also leverage social media. There are YouTube channels and Facebook live streams where diaspora preachers deliver sermons in Punjab, reaching audiences back in Punjab instantly. This transnational religious flow reinforces the movement. Moreover, many Punjabi converts dream of joining their relatives abroad. In fact, as mentioned, conversion is sometimes seen as a stepping stone to potential refugee status, citing persecution, or simply having an international network for support. While hard data is scarce, community anecdotes mention cases of converts managing to settle in countries like Canada and the US on the claim of being a persecuted minority. Western Christian NGOs have been known to facilitate some persecuted faith asylum cases, though each case's legitimacy varies. All this means the US, Canadian, Punjabi Christian communities provide both moral support and sometimes a pathway for hopeful migrants, thereby indirectly motivating conversions back home. It's worth noting that the diaspora influence cuts both ways. Just as funds and missionaries come in, news of backlash and anti-conversion actions in Punjab also reaches Western churches. In 2022-23, diaspora Sikh and Christian groups sparred on social media over Punjab's conversions. Some Canadian Sikh gurudwaras have hosted events to reconvert Christians to Sikhism, while Canadian Punjabi churches have held prayer campaigns for revival in Punjab. The issue has entered the discourse of human rights abroad too. Any coercive measures by Punjab, like a potential anti-conversion law or incidents of church vandalism, could draw criticism from international religious freedom bodies, which the Punjabi Christian diaspora actively engages with. This wave of religious transformation is undeniably changing social dynamics at the grassroots. Villages that once revolved around the local Gurdwara now also see parallel gatherings in believers' homes or newly built churches. In many of these communities, drug and alcohol abuse rates have reportedly declined as people embrace the stricter lifestyle encouraged by Pentecostal Christianity, which forbids intoxication. For example, instigated by True Christianity, a pastor might counsel new converts to destroy their liquor and focus on spiritual life instead. Youth who were once involved in drugs or alcohol now become joint church activities like choir practice or Bible study. While some comprehensive data isn't available, local testimonies, anecdotal stories often celebrate that X village has become nashamukt free, drug-free after many converted and quit drinking. Even though these stories may be anecdotal, they reflect a perception that this religious revival has brought positive social change in many areas. Law enforcement officials have quietly acknowledged that formerly crime-ridden or drug-infested localities where churches have gained influence have experienced a positive change in the atmosphere, with community members becoming more involved in cooperating to help addicts recover, influenced by the pastor's guidance. Additionally, the hierarchy in rural society is shifting. Dalits who converted and became pastors or church elders now hold leadership roles that once commanded respectability, something that was rarely possible for them within the traditional Sikh village power structure. For instance, a Mazhabi Sikh convert who couldn't even sit on the same cot as a Jat in the Gurdwara during service can now lead openly a prayer meeting that which Jat Sikh villagers might attend out of curiosity or faith. For example, a true Christian pastor who could not be openly gay in his own community might now lead a congregation that welcomes everyone openly. This inversion of social norms power is subtle but significant. It's led to some resentment from those who feel their traditional authority is eroding. But for the converts themselves, for many, it's empowering. As one observer noted, the mass conversion of rural Dalits has transformed a predominantly urban Christian minority into a rural and backward community. Yet it has bestowed upon that community a newfound confidence and identity that speaks challenges to caste prejudice norms. Punjab's Punjabi Christians, once a marginal, negligible group in villages, are now a visible force, often described block, often characterized as backward Christian, poor, Dalit, unemployed, and illiterate, essentially the poorest of the poor, yet striving for a respectable life. The Christian Movement Church gives them a platform to strive for that dignity. Another dynamic is the relationship between the new Christians and their non-converted neighbors. In most places, it has been peaceful coexistence. Often entire families or friend groups convert together, which reduces social friction. There are also cases where people attend both Gurdwara and church services, not fully committing either way. A recent report noted not all churchgoers are officially Christian, implying that many still partake in Sikh festivals or rituals and maintain cultural ties. For some, this suggests that for some, conversion is a gradual process, perhaps along a spectrum of belief rather than an abrupt shift. On the other hand, as we've seen, there have been instances of communal tension or polarization, like villagers preventing converts from using common resources like water or land or access to community spaces. Some, in extreme rare cases, this has even led to violence, such as the sword attack on a pastor. However, how often these mixed communities, where old and new faiths coexist, evolve will be critical. If the Sikh establishment pushes too aggressively hard through measures like ostracism, it could backfire and strengthen converts' resolve to stay Christian. Conversely, if they address some underlying grievances, like including more Dalits in Gurdwara leadership or management as has been promised, it might stem this further outflow from Sikhism. From the believer's convert's perspective, their new faith has brought tangible improvements to their lives, deliverance from addiction, unity in their families, and a sense of hope for the future. Many testify that issues like domestic violence has decreased and reduced in their households since after accepting Christianity. As conversion, pastors often encourage councilmen to be loving husbands and promote giving up vices like alcohol or drugs, which echoes themes common in Pentecostal teachings worldwide. These teachings often lead to stronger family bonds and personal transformation. Economically, too, some converts have seen small benefits too. The churches sometimes pool resources to help a struggling member in need, something that traditional community structures often failed to provide for them. For example, the True Scoop report described how Christian pastors often adopt villages with multiple social problems, like poverty or addiction, and then systematically work to solve those issues, offering practical help like free school tuition admissions for poor kids, monthly food rations, or financial aid for the needy families. Essentially, the church acts becomes a new kind of community welfare system unit in these communities. This sort of mutual support, both practical and spiritual aid, is a powerful glue that holds the converts together, attracts new members, and genuinely uplifts living conditions in many areas that were previously very neglected and deprived. Looking ahead, Punjab stands at an interesting juncture. The state has historically been identified strongly with Sikhism, often called the land of the Sikhs, and also has a significant Hindu population. The rise of a third religious community, Christians, on a large scale is an unusual event in its religious history, as one Medium article put it. It is reminiscent of the late 19th century when large numbers of Punjab's oppressed castes embraced Christianity under colonial missions, swelling the Christian population to 500,000 by 1930. Most of those Christians ended up in Pakistan after partition, and Christianity in Indian Punjab remained relatively dormant for decades. Now, history seems to be repeating in a new form. Some fear a major demographic change, while others see it as a social justice realignment. Sikh and Hindu conservatives talk of a hallelujah invasion and warn that Punjab's cultural fabric is at risk if villages forsake Sikh gurus for Jesus. One opinion piece even dramatically said, "Else, soon there will be a Punjab without Punjabis," lamenting that conversions could dilute Punjabi identity. This is likely hyperbole. Punjabi Christians, after all, still speak Punjabi and cherish their culture, just with a different faith. But it captures the anxiety in some quarters. On the flip side, the new converts argue they have not ceased to be Punjabi or patriotic. They have simply found a path that gives them peace and equality. They often point out that Sikhism's core tenet was equality, which they feel the community failed to practice for them, whereas the church actually delivered it. It's a poignant indictment that Punjab's religious leaders are now forced to confront. In conclusion, the surge of conversions to Christianity in Punjab, concentrated among backward class Dalit Sikhs and some Hindus, is a multifaceted phenomenon. It is driven by long-standing social grievances and enabled by energetic local evangelical networks. It has given rise to new Punjabi churches in areas like Tarn Taran, Gurdaspur, Ferozepur, and beyond, led by pastors who themselves come from astonishing backgrounds, former addicts, policemen, even relatives of ex-militants. This movement has provided many individuals a route out of addiction and a newfound sense of community, upending social norms in formerly marginalized villages. At the same time, it has provoked resistance from Sikh clergy, Sikh activist groups, and even political stakeholders who fear the erosion of Punjab's Sikh character. The state's politicians are cautiously adjusting to this reality, some even embracing Christian rhetoric in public, reflecting the community's growing clout. And across the oceans, the Punjabi Christian diaspora cheers on, while Sikh diaspora worry in equal measure, making this a global Punjabi conversation. The ultimate impact on Punjab's social harmony and religious landscape will depend on how each side addresses the core issues at play. If reforms, like greater caste inclusion in Sikh institutions and better governance, take place, some converts might reconsider their path. If not, the trend may well continue, as those tired of oppression seek solace in a faith they feel finally treats them as equals. For now, Punjab's border villages echo on Sundays with shouts of hallelujah alongside Bole Sonihal, Sat Sri Akal, a vivid speechscape that captures the state's ongoing religious churn. Thank you for watching. Let's discuss what this means for Punjab's future.